that we have in this world, who would die without white people. And quite frankly, they're our only allies that we have in this world. Africans sure as hell don't like us. And quite frankly, they're the ones that sold us into slavery. And if you really think about it, we don't produce anything, we don't own anything, and we damn sure do not know how to live off the land. And with all the dysfunction that is coming out of our communities, I don't think people will want to help us. We as a community need to change our worldview, and we have to be accountable for the things that is happening within our community and actually come together and do something about it. This toxic relationship that we have with white people and this built up anger that we have against them, it needs to come to an end. I'm telling you guys, the people at the top is loving this. As we stay distracted, they destroy our country. True Americans do not care about race. And if you are a person that cares about race, then you are a part of the problem. We live in the greatest country in the world, and there's people out there that would die to be in our positions. And there's people out there that do die to try to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, united we stand and divided we fall. Who would die?
Shalom, it's the brother Kalaya coming at you. I with a quick response to a video. Prior to getting started, I like to give all glory, honors, and prayers unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the free elect. Shalom. All right, and what you just witnessed was a little video I screen recorded from Instagram, and I just felt like somebody could be edified, right? The Spirit led me to that video or whatnot, and I kind of just have a couple things I want to go over. All right, so she hit a lot of key points that I want to clear up, and edify on. It's probably, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 things, and I just put some scriptures together, and we'll edify, Lord willing. But first and foremost, she said that Esau Edom is our only ally. All right, and according to the scriptures, that's not true, man. All right, Esau Edom is not our ally. In fact, they are our sworn enemy. All right, and it's been like that since the beginning. Okay, this is Genesis 25 and 20. Well, I start at 21. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived, right? And we all know who Isaac is, okay? He's the father, all right, of Abraham. Not Salakia, slip of the tongue. He's the father of Jacob, all right, and Esau. Salakia for that. But nevertheless, we're going to keep going. It says, verse 22, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her, 2 manners of nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right, so what the Lord is telling her, you're having this dilemma, these pains, because these 2 manner of people are actually, fighting within the womb. All right, your so-called white people, all right, and the Israelites, man. Okay, which those so-called white people, according to the scriptures, their name, all right, is Esau, man, the Edomites. All right, it says, verse 24, and when her days were delivered, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. See, this devil is actually, our twin brother. All right, not by looks, of course. But 25, it says, and the first came out red and hairy, red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. All right, and ultimately, man, the Lord was giving, Rebecca basically insight on what was going on in her stomach, but it also foreshadowed what would take place on the face of the planet Earth between two manners of people, all right, two nations of people, okay, the Edomites and the Israelites, all right. We've always been at each other's throats, so to say, okay. So this is nothing new, right? She wants to create world peace, all right, with the Edomites, and basically, pretty much apologize to them for being, the devil. And that's insane, man. All right. I got something else. This is let me grab this real quick. The book of Luke. This is the book of Luke, 16th chapter and the 20th verse, man. All right. It says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores. All right, which, Lazarus, this is the story of Lazarus and the rich man. Okay, Lazarus represents the Israelites and the rich man represents Esau, Edom. It says, verse 21, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. Okay, and those dogs represent, all right, the other nations, man. All right, licking our sores, making money off us, making mockery of us, okay, keeping us down, keeping us oppressed, all right, keeping us suppressed. You see, it says, verse 22, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. All right, and this is where it's finna get, interesting. Verse 23, it says, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. You see, so Lazarus was comforted by Abraham, man. Okay, showing you, all right, the position that Jake gonna be in the kingdom of heaven. You see, it says, verse 24, and he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. Right. And ultimately, man, in the kingdom of heaven, which I just put this picture up there, all right, showing you the conditions. And this is just a mere AI generated picture that I grabbed from a brother's page on social media, but nevertheless it gives you a clear depiction, all right, of what it's gonna be like, man, in the kingdom. Lord willing, me, myself, and the brothers that I serve with, right, in this ministry, and also you that's behind the camera, Lord willing, we'll be first fruits to see this, man. All right, look at the second image. Okay, but it's telling you, that pretty much these Edomites are going to be looking for, some rest in the kingdom of heaven. All right, because contrary to popular belief, all right, we're going to have them in subjection. Okay, they're going to be doing our bidding. They're going to be slaves. All right, they have to drink that cup of slavery, the same one they forced on us. All right, it says, verse 28, but Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivedest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. That's right, man, because the Lord is a just balance. All right, the Lord is a just balance. He gave all of these different nations a time to rule, okay, on the face of the planet Earth. And they've all had a portion in our captivity, whether it was, the Babylonian, the Persian, whatever, all of the different captivities. They all had a piece. You see, we all have been, they all have had us in subjection at some point of time, all right, in history. Okay, but nevertheless, in this captivity, right, the revised Roman Empire, okay, and in this hellhole, right, America, Babylon the Great, you see, hey, we still in subjection, which this captivity is almost over with. All right, the Lord is breaking this thing down, um, as you brothers and sisters can see. All right, from the news, daily news at that. Okay, the infrastructure of this place is being totally eradicated, man. It's disintegrating. It's almost like throwing water on a sandcastle, man. If you haven't watched that, go see how fast a sandcastle, all right, will be destroyed. You see, it says but now he is comforted and thou art tormented, right, in the latter half of verse 25, because it tell you in Lamentations, the 4th chapter, all right, that Esau basically have to get ready for slavery, and we won't go into captivity anymore, man. Okay, verse 26, and besides all of this, between us and you there is a great gulf fixed. All right, so the Lord is being real, you know, how can I say, direct, right? Because contrary to popular belief, the Lord don't have gray areas. All right, the Lord don't have gray areas, man. Everything is clear and cut to those, all right, that the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is allotted to. It's clear and cut if you can receive that, right? It says between us and you there is a great gulf fixed, showing you that Esau Edom won't be a part of that blessing, man. Okay, he won't be a part of, all right, the kingdom of heaven, which he will be a part of the kingdom of heaven, all right, for 1,000 years as servants and slaves and handmaids. Okay, but after that he's going to be eradicated. All right, it says so that they which in a gulf fix is ultimately, you know, a gap, all right, a space. Let me look that up. Actually, I want to see what that says in the blue letter. Bear with me for a moment. Right, it ultimately means, you know, a chasm, right, or gaping opening, right, a vacancy. So the Lord is literally telling them that, you know, you are far from us, man. You are far from the blessings. You are far from, you know, the inheritance, all of that. Okay. It says back in verse 26, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us, that they would come from thence. Right. So there's no Edomites that they're gonna receive the blessings, all right, that the Israelites will. Okay, that it won't happen. And there's, all right, no Israelites that receive the, you know, the judgment, okay, that the Edomites will in the kingdom of heaven, right? Because according to scriptures, okay, all Israel shall be saved. All right, once the destruction happens and 2/3 of the nation of Israel is eradicated, okay, and reset, all right, because ultimately they have to get their minds reset. That woman, you know, she better hope and pray that she's not a terror, okay, that she may get a taste of the kingdom of heaven, all right, on the good side. But if she is an Israelite, all right, she have to be reset. She got to die on this side from that mindset, from drinking that wine, man, and being indoctrinated by Esau Edom. You see, that mess that she was spewing out of her mouth, all right, that has to be stopped. Okay, that sort of thinking can't be allowed in the kingdom of heaven. So, all right, she has to ultimately come back through the loins of a righteous man. All right, but let's keep pushing through. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, she said that we don't produce anything and we don't own anything, right? And ultimately, I'm gonna say this: you can tell when a person has not, you know, done research, things of that nature, because all of the inventions that Esau, so-called, you know, came up with, right? Being that he is this self-proclaimed, you know, genius and, you know, things of that nature, right? He stole those things from Jakes, man. All right, the light bulb, okay, the will, right, and many other things. Okay, and those are some things that I just off the top of my dome, man. All right, the elder Yakina always go into this devil pretty much stealing, what is it, Jack Daniels, right? The recipe for Jack Daniels and calling it his own. Okay, but this is Matthew 5 and let's see, where was I? 5 and 13, it says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men." All right, so the Lord likened us unto salt, man, because every flavorful food, every good food, right? I won't say every, but majority of good cooking, all right, is seasoned with salt, man. Okay, everything is. Imagine a world without the flavor of Jake, man. The influence of Jake, man. It would be tasteless. Okay, look at all these other nations trying to be like us, man. Hold on, let me get that scripture. One second. Lord willing, I can find it. Yep. This is Sirach 10 and verse 30. It says, "The poor man is honored for his skill, and the rich man is honored for his riches. He that is honored in poverty, how much more in riches? And he that is dishonorable in riches, how much more in poverty?" That's right, man. We are at our lowest, and you have all the nations, all the 17 nations, okay, that dwell upon the face of the planet Earth. Right, they are influenced heavily by Jake, whether that's the northern tribe, okay, your so-called Latinos, right, and your so-called Native Americans, right. Hey, they doing just as much as the so-called Negroes, man, the Southern Kingdom, right. I was just listening to what you call that shit, man. This guy that was making jerk chicken. He was from Jamaica. All right, you got these goddamn Brits using the same language as Jake, man. Only in the British language, because it's a heavy influence of Jamaicans there, man. Right? They have a whole style of talking, okay, over there in that part of the earth, man, which is heavily influenced by Jake. It's effortless. Jake do that type of stuff effortlessly, man. And the world picks up on it. So how much more when we are in power? All right. She said that no one wants to help us, right? No one would want to help us. And it's beneficial that they don't for them. Okay? It tell you in the book of Judah, the 5th chapter and around the 20th verse, right, that these other nations know that when we are far away from our power, okay, that we're weak, basically. Our defense is gone. You see? And we're easy to manipulate and control. And so that's why they won't help us. All right. Ultimately helping us will be what? When you go back to what that is, Revelations, the 11th chapter, all right, putting us in our graves, man. All right, giving us that rest, telling us who we are. All right. They destroyed us and didn't tell us we were the Israelites. Okay. So, to hell with these other nations, man. Hey, Psalms the 83rd tell you that all of these other nations are actually in cahoots with each other. They're actually confederate, man. And matter of fact, I'm gonna get that because it talks about what she was saying, man. This is Psalms 83, and I'll get the point. All right. Verse 3, it says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation. that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent against thee. All right, and then it goes on to list, all right, the different nations who are participating in this, right? But nevertheless, okay, it's in their best interest to keep us down and low, all right, in the ghettos, the barrios, the favelas, the bodegas, okay. It's beneficial for them. All right, that's why they're able to thrive and things of that nature. Okay, and of course we can't own nothing. Hey, look at Black Wall Street. Okay, hey, that was bombed, man. Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And anything else you jakes try to empower yourselves with, hey, it'll be destroyed. It'll get infiltrated by spies and ultimately be destroyed, man. All right, because what that's gonna do is awaken, all right, these other jakes and cause revolts and riots and things of that nature, because they have ruled this country upon lies and fear tactics, man. And ultimately, all right, the doctrines, okay, that woman is indoctrinated, all right, by the devil, all right, by Esau Edom, okay, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. All right, I got one more in this particular section of the video. This is Lamentations chapter 2 and 15. It reads, all that pass by clap their hands at thee, they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of the beauty? Salakia, the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth, right? Because Israel was intended to be what, man? I the monument, okay, of Yahweh, what represents Salakia, the nation that represents the Lord, man, on earth. All right, we embody the law, statutes, and commandments, and we're a visual representation of how the Lord operates, thinks, and basically conduct business. You see, but through the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, we have failed to do so. Okay, which is His will. All right, but through the elect, the Lord is gonna make us fulfill this. You see, we're going to become the perfection of beauty again, because He's going to put the law, statutes, and commandments within our inward parts, and we won't ever go off again. All right. Verse 16, it says, all thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we have looked for. We have found and we have seen it. Okay. And you got to understand this, man. These other nations, they desire to see us as so-called thugs, right? I'm not not so-called, but thugs and whores, harlots, right? Niggas, spicks, tontos, wetbacks. Okay, all the proverbs and all of the depictions of the degeneracy, all right, that you can think of. Okay, they love to see that. All right, that's what they intended to do. And how do you do that? By stripping us from who we were. All right, taking that hedge away from us, which is, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And the only way we stay in that hedge is by performing the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, to the best of our abilities. You see, last verse here, it says, all thine no, that's I read that one, verse 17. It says, the Lord had done that which He had devised. He had fulfilled His word that He had commanded in the days of old. And what is this particular scripture talking about? Deuteronomy 28 and 15, man. Okay, what the Lord said would happen if we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, and we made that promise to do such. All right, and then when you read on down all the way to 68, it gives you in great detail what would happen unto us in slavery, and Hey, the position we in now, all of that was encoded. Okay, the Lord didn't leave out not one thing. You see? It says he had thrown down and had not pity. What did he throw down? The nation of Israel, man. It says, and he had caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He had set up the horn of thine adversaries. Right? That horn going into power, man. The Lord set up the power of our enemies. You see? And this woman, she said that we need to do something about it. Right? What is there to do about it? Okay, if the Lord set up whom he wants, whom he chooses, what can we do? All right, as a people. She said that we should come together and basically throw the hatred out. We need to figure out something. Well, what is prescribed by the scriptures is that we need to, push this word, man, push this truth. Therefore the end will come, all right? And ultimately, we'll get to the kingdom of heaven. All right, this kingdom will be destroyed and ours will be uplifted. This is this is the only thing we can do right now. We weren't told to take up arms. All right, we weren't told, okay, to go to World Summit meetings and fight for justice for the Israelites. We weren't told to do none of that. But this is what we were told to do. Ezekiel 3, and I'm gonna get to the point. It says verse 3 and 5. Verse 3 and 4. Ezekiel 3, chapter 3 and verse 4, Shalakia. And he said unto me, Son of man, go get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak my words unto them. You see, telling you, and well, I should say showing you that this is for a specific people, right? The same people the Lord been, directing this message to since the beginning. All right, the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says, verse 5, for thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. All right, now I'm gonna jump down to verse 17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Right? And that's as far as I'm going to go. Brothers, you should know, Ezekiel 3 and 17 and on down. All right, but this is what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? Sighing and crying. Ezekiel 9, right? Habakkuk, the second chapter, okay? Making these dark parables and secrets, all right, of the Lord, plain upon tables unto the what? To the elect, man, that they may run, that read it, okay, that they may be put on game, so to say. All right, this is it. We are supposed to preach this word. That's it, man. Hey, Yahushua told Peter what? Feed my sheep, okay, and he said it 3 times, okay, going into understanding. All right. That's what we were supposed to be doing, man. All right. And then she said that the which I'm gonna play the video one more time at the end, but I wanna just say this real quick. She said that America is the greatest country on the face of the planet Earth, right? And that many people want to come here. No, they only want to come here because what? All right, through the lies and deceptions, okay, that America produced, all right, through doctrine, indoctrination, and ultimately being given the world, right? The Lord gave Esau the world, man. All right, and he done it through America, being that hub, right? That harlot, all right, that set on the beast, okay? This wicked ass place spearheads the whole earth right now, which we see it losing power too, though. All right, through prophecy. But nevertheless, people were chasing that American dream, and now that they're seeing, they're not seeing that American dream is that dream no more. It's the American nightmare, man. Okay, the horror stories of being returned back into the people in these how could I say, less fortunate countries and things of that nature. right? And then you have some who are still persistent, and the Lord is either about to save them or destroy them, all right? Because contrary to popular belief, America will be destroyed and blown off the face of the planet Earth. All right, it is that's a promise. Okay, the Lord made a promise, right? If this place was so great, then why would it be destroyed by 200 million ICBM nuclear missiles, man? Right? Why would that happen if this place was so great? Okay, but that was pretty much all I had. I could have went into a whole slew of other precepts, but these are the first ones that popped in my head for every topic that this woman mentioned. So without any further ado, I'm gonna get out of here. I'd like to give all glory, honors, and prayers unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to those elect. Shalom.
We would die without white people. And quite frankly, they're our only allies that we have in this world. Africans sure as hell don't like us. And quite frankly, they're the ones that sold us into slavery. And if you really think about it, we don't produce anything, we don't own anything, and we damn sure do not know how to live off the land. And with all the dysfunction that is coming out of our communities, I don't think people will want to help us. We as a community need to change our worldview, and we have to be accountable for the things that is happening within our community and actually come together and do something about it. This toxic relationship that we have with white people and this built up anger that we have against them, it needs to come to an end. I'm telling you guys, the people at the top is loving this. As we stay distracted, they destroy our country. True Americans do not care about race. And if you are a person that cares about race, then you are a part of the problem. We live in the greatest country in the world, and there's people out there that would die to be in our positions. And there's people out there that do die to try to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, united we stand and divided we fall.